Come Play With Us, and today I'm going to be reviewing Voidfall, a game from Mind Clash Games that plays 1 to 4 players in about 45 minutes per player. This is a big 4X space game that plays similarly to something like Twilight Imperium or Eclipse, but plays in a much shorter playtime. I'm going to start by looking at the components of the game. So for this game, we've got the typical hex tile terrain spaces. The art on them is quite good. They give you plenty. They give you spaces here to put the various guilds and facilities that you can build on the tiles. They're quite clear. They've got nice art on them. And they're pretty functional. They're two-sided, so they have different things on each side, and they can be used in various ways depending on the scenario. One of the best components in this game, I find, is this resource dial that they give you. On one side, it gives you your production. On the other side, it's how many resources you have. I can't believe other games haven't done something like this, where instead of having a billion tokens to track and manage, you just have this big resource dial. It works great. It echoes something that you might play if you played on Tabletop Simulator, and you have those little counters and stuff that you keep. This works very similarly to that. It's a really great component. Again, really surprised other games haven't done that before. But yeah, that's a great component in this game. And then you're going to get various cards, different sizes. So you've got kind of like a tarot size card for your focus cards that are used to pick your actions. I'm not going to be doing an overview of this game. I've done a playthrough on my channel, linked down below in the show notes if you want to see how the game plays. In the game, you're going to have 14 factions that are available. They come with these nice player boards. I should mention that the game that I'm showing here is the retail version of the game. There's a deluxe version of the game that you can get that was available from Kickstarter. This is the retail version. I mean, the components are still really good in the retail version, and it's about half the price or less than the Kickstarter version. But you don't get the dual layer player boards. You just get these player cards. But there are 14 of them in the game. 4 of them will be the basic races that play very similarly, and then you'll get 10 very asymmetric factions. In the game, and they all play very differently. Each faction also will give you 2 starting setups, so you can play each faction slightly differently, which really ups the variability in the setup of the game. Other components in the game are these corruption tokens that the dice slot into. So these are kind of really neat. They go on the board like that. The dice are nice. They're purple dice. Otherwise they're just typical D6s, but they look really nice on the board. Then there's various cubes and tokens and various cards. Everything's good quality card stock. I don't see any problems. I sleeve all my cards, but the quality is pretty good. If you don't want to sleeve them, I don't think you have to, but I like to sleeve my cards. So. And no complaints about the components. There are not for the faint of heart. There are 3 books in the game. There's a scenario book that will have all the various scenarios that you can play, and there's scenarios for all the types of play. This game plays solo, competitive, cooperative, and they've included many scenarios for each way that plays. They also have a rule book that has all the rules, but it also kind of walks you through step by step of how all the phases in the game go. I find the rule books really well laid out, and there's an index in the back. I don't have trouble finding things in the rule book. They even have good sections in here as you go through it that are kind of color highlighted to show which sections apply to what part of the game. So the blue is the co-op or the solo, and then they have purple color to highlight the competitive rules, and it works really well. It's laid out really well. And then there's a full glossary as well that includes detailed descriptions of all the tokens, all the cards, all the player boards and what the symbols mean on everything. So everything you need to know is in this glossary, and it references really easily. So if you run into something that you don't understand, there's the glossary, and there is a giant fold out of all the icons that are in the game. Yes, there are that many icons in the game. Don't be scared off. Because of that, though, the iconography, once you get used to it, is very intuitive, and I find that once you get playing for a bit, you don't have to reference this as much. But once in a while, an icon will come up that doesn't come up very often, and you can reference it here if you need to. So that all works really good. It looks a little daunting having 3 books and an icon reference in a game, but all works really well, and much appreciated. And there is a lot going in on this game, so it is very necessary. Okay, for the mechanics of this game, it plays really smoothly. So generally, in the game, you're just going to be every turn you're just going to be picking a card. So every player will have the same set of cards. If you're playing with the typical factions, they'll be exactly the same. Some of the factions and the more advanced factions will swap out some of the cards, but they'll be the same type of card, but they'll have slightly different actions on them. So that's how you get a bit of the asymmetry in the game. And then, of course, if you're playing solo or co-op, there's this set of heroic, or what they call co-op focus cards, that you can swap out once a game. Once in a game, you can swap one of these out for one of your cards, and it's kind of like a super version of your card. So that works really, really well. And basically, during the game, when it's your turn, you're just going to be picking one of the cards that you haven't played yet, and you're going to select 2 of the actions on the card and execute them. And then if you have a trade token, you can flip that trade or return that trade token to execute the 3rd action if you want to. So once in a while, you'll execute all 3 of those actions. That system is really awesome. It keeps things really simple. The game flows really quickly between all the players. And you can plan your turns out ahead of time, seeing what you want to do. Yeah, great system. I love it. It works really well. I don't really have much to complain about that. The other aspects of the game is the area control. So you'll be buying, as typical 4X, you'll be trying to take over territories and hold them, and then of course there's engine building with your various powers and the buildings that you can build. You can build guilds that produce based on your population of the tile that they're built on. That goes into your production, and so you can build this whole engine depending on which types of buildings you build. That kind of thing. And then of course you can build things for defense, for building ships, all that typical 4X things. And then there's a lot of combos in the game as well. So you can combo your actions, combo with the agendas, which are kind of gold cards that you can acquire, but when you acquire them and play them into your tableau, you get a one-time bonus action that kind of combos with your other actions. So there's lots of cool ways to combo your actions together with kind of these gold cards or technologies, things that are going on the board. So really intricate system. It works fairly intuitively and is much simpler than it seems, given like the crazy amount of stuff that seems to be going on in this game. But yeah, it all really flows really nicely. It's not fiddly. It's not clunky at all. So yeah, really great. Love the mechanics, and this game is all about the mechanics really. And figuring out little engines and playing with your resource production and trying to focus on producing one type of thing depending on your factions. Different factions, like this faction that I was playing in the playthrough, they want to build a lot of science, and then when they overbuild science, it turns into money. So you're trying to like build this science money engine, and then use that to kind of spread out on the board and get points. That's every faction has its different intricacies and how to do it. So there's lots to explore there. Given there's 14 in all. Okay, so what don't I like about this game? Honestly, there's not much I don't like about this game. I mean, probably the biggest thing is the setup. This game is a beast to set up. It's similar to Twilight Imperium in that respect. The setup's not complicated, but I mean, there's just a lot of things to set up. You gotta, you have to set up the galaxy, and then there's a lot of tiles and tokens and pieces that go onto that, and then you gotta set up the technologies and the galaxy board and your player board, and so yeah, the game does play pretty quickly for a big 4X game like this, but you should set it up ahead of time, definitely, because it'll take you about 45 minutes to set the game up for your session. So make sure if you're going to play this on a game night, set it up before everybody gets there, and then just wait to just do the player setup when everybody gets there. That won't take too long. It'll take about 10 minutes for everybody to set their players and decide kind of which way they want to go for their characters and set their home system up. But yeah, that's probably my biggest complaint on this game. The second one is probably just the number of icons, even though the icons are very intuitive, and I understand how they're needed. There's just a million of icons in this game, so if you don't want a lot, if you're not somebody who didn't like Race for the Galaxy because you couldn't understand all the icons of Race for the Galaxy, well, this one's going to trump that. It's got 10 times the icons that Race for the Galaxy had. But I think the fact that they did it that way makes the game as rich and deep as it is. If it was all text, it'd be probably a lot harder to play. So I can see it's totally necessary, but if I have to nitpick about something, yeah, the icon mayhem is one of the things I could pick on. Okay, so as for what I like about this game, there's lots to like. As I already mentioned, I love this resource style thing. This makes the upkeep in the game really manageable. Managing your production and your resources all in this thing, awesome. And everything's got nice little hints on it. So when you overproduce, you get 3 points every time you overproduce. It's referenced here right on the dial. It'll tell you, the money can be used for these other resources. It shows you that on the dial. So everything is kind of written out for you on the player board. All the little hints about, rules, reminders and stuff about your player powers and all that kind of thing. It's all there. Really great how they did that, and to make a really complicated game seem like it's easy. The other thing I like, and some people won't like, this might be a dislike for a lot of people, I like the deterministic combat in this game. It's an interesting choice. I mean, it's a Euro game, so maybe it's not such an out there choice. But for a 4X game to say, we're not going to do a dice combat or put any kind of randomness into the combat where it's going to be completely deterministic, and you can just figure it out ahead of time. And heck, we'll even give you an app that will figure it out for you if you don't want to do all the calculations. I think it's awesome because if you're playing something like Twilight Imperium or one of those big Space 4X games, and you go in with your giant armada to this tile that you should be able to just walk right over them, but then you get really bad dice rolls, and the person you're going in against gets really great dice rolls, and those two ships just hold off against your battalion and decimate them, and that's a really bad feeling in a game, especially if you spent half the game building up those forces and they just get decimated by this small group by pure luck. That's not going to happen in this game. You build up your forces and you're going into that tile that you want, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. The person that's sitting there seeing your armada build up knows you're going to get it. So that I think in a game like this, I prefer that because I worked really hard to build up the forces. It's I should be able to take that. So the combat and the angst in the combat and the stress is about trying to defend your territory and not spread yourself too thin. So there's still a lot of strategy with the combat, but it's more about the planning and making sure that you have the right defenses and you don't stretch yourself thin or over exert yourself, because there is that neutral faction in here, the Voidborn, that will attack. So you got to account for that. So there's still things to account for, and you still got to worry about people coming after you and what technologies they have versus what technologies you have. But I find it really great. I think that's a nice twist on this game. It makes this game unique, and I think it's well done. The other thing, this is for a 4X game, the player count. You can play this at low players. I can play this solo. A 4X game I can play solo, and it plays very smoothly and easily solo. I don't have to control a lot of things. Awesome. I can play this anytime I want to. one of the biggest problems with something like Twilight Imperium or these big 4X games is I can never get to play them. You can only play them, once a year because they take a day to play and they're really complicated and you got to get the right group of people, and just trying to line that up, especially, once you get a family and stuff like that, it's just next to impossible. So the fact that I can play this solo, I can get this game banged out in a regular game night. I mean, it's going to be 3 or 4 hours, so it's a longer game night game. So if you're the type of game group that only likes 2 hours or less games, this isn't going to be for you. But you can get this done in a regular game night. It doesn't have to. It's not an all day affair, as long as you, like I said, set it up before everybody gets here. And that's super valuable for me, because this does feel to me like Twilight Imperium. It gives me all the same kind of feels that game gives me, except for the dice rolling. That's pretty much the only thing that's missing. All the other aspects are here. Getting the tech, vying for the technology, the area control, building up your resources, building facilities, getting more production, building your fleets of ships, and all that kind of stuff. It's all here. You even have this fallen house mechanic, which is really cool, where you have these defunct neutral factions that are sitting there for the taking, and they give you a free technology when you take them over, and give you the ability to hold an extra technology. Really neat. I really like that. It adds to the flavor of the game, just to the feeling of it. Yeah, super awesome. The tech variability. I like the fact that not all the techs are in every game. There's only 8 techs in every game, so you'll be playing with different technologies all the time. If you're playing with multiple players, there's only 2 of each tech, so not in a 3-player game, not everybody's going to get all the techs. You'll have your starting tech that you're the only one that can get the advanced tech of that, and you'll be fighting over the advanced techs, and you can only have a couple of them, so you got to think about which ones you have. Awesome, because it just you can play the same scenario over and over again, but with the different technologies, and how the technologies work, they really change up the strategies in the game, because depending on what kind of ships are in the game, there'll be might be better defensive ships versus, or there's better attacking ships, or maybe there's great economic technologies, or great so it just opens up the different kind of strategies that might be applicable to that game, and not all those strategies will be the same every time. Really cool. The fact that they've got multiple scenarios for each of the combinations for the competitive, the co-op, the solo, really cool. They can try different things, and the scenarios basically focus on different aspects of the game. So they have one that focuses on the economics, so you can have an economic game. I'll have one that focuses more on the military aspect, so you can have an aggressive game, one that mixes both things up, stuff like that. Yeah, really cool. I'm really enjoying trying out the different scenarios, and of course, factions. You have 14 factions to try, so even with on top of the tech scenario variability, you can also try different factions. They all do different things. There's more complex ones, more simpler ones. They change every aspect of it. Like I said, they change up what the basic cards that you might get. You'll have different techs, different branches you can try out. They'll have different civilization bonuses, different things they're good at, stuff like that. Really well done. And yeah, I love as I already mentioned, I love the action selection mechanism. I love how that angst of like, okay, which one do I do, and even of which one do I do? Oh, out of the 3 actions I can do on the card, which ones do I? I don't have my trade token, so I can't do all 3. Which of the 2 am I going to pick? Those are great decisions every game. Just to think about what you want to do, and there's so much cool stuff. There's always, like, when you're looking at this, it's like all the options are interesting and awesome, and it's just tough to pick which ones you want to do. The agendas are also really neat. They give you different goals to go for, so you can tailor how you want to play the game. If you're going for a military strategy, or an economic strategy or anything, you can find agendas in here that match your strategy. That'll give you points based on the way you want to play the game. So that lets you tailor the win conditions to your play style. And they work really well. I like the fact that they give you a bonus action when you and you have to play them with a certain type of focus card. You can only and so that gives you that combo tastic richness of trying to combo up your agenda with your card, and get you get that bonus action in there. yeah, I mean the like I said, there's not much I don't like about this game. I am a big 4X fan. I have, like I said, I've got Twilight Imperium 3. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I also have Sid Meier's Civilization. I played that one a lot. I have Rune Wars. I'm one of the few people that have Rune Wars and really love that game. Um, and I still play it once in a while. I've got tons of Civilization games. I probably have way too many, but I keep buying them. But this one is way up there on here. Is this a Twilight Imperium killer? Is this going to replace Twilight Imperium for me? I don't think so. I think I will still keep Twilight Imperium 3 around for that once in a 2 year opportunity where a bunch of us get together and spend the whole day playing this giant space game. But this will allow me to play a Twilight Imperium, a very close to Twilight Imperium like game more often. I can play this anytime I want when I'm feeling like playing a 4X game. Even if I can't get anybody together to play a 4X game, I can just set this out, play the solo mode, and try one of the factions I haven't tried yet or the scenarios I haven't tried. And there's 3 difficulty modes as well. So there's lots to explore in this game, and I'll get a chance to explore it because I can play it more often. So to me, this game is really excellent. It makes me want to. This is the first Mind Clash game. This is the first Mind Clash game I've played. This makes me want to explore some of their other games. Looking at them, Septima and Tricerion, thinking, oh, maybe I'll try one of those games because this is truly fantastic. I'm giving this a rare 10 out of 10. I don't have many in my collection, but this is a 10 for me. This is the best game I have played in a long time. It's instantly one of my favorite games. It's going to stay in my collection forever. I had an opportunity to get the deluxe version when I got this at retail. I didn't kickstart it. I had the opportunity to get the deluxe version, but it was super expensive and I hadn't played it, so I didn't do that. And this is one of the few games where I think I might be regretting that decision a little bit. I mean, the components are still really great. I think the one thing I would like from that deluxe edition is they have the dual layer player board inserts for these. I hope they sell those eventually separately, because that's mainly the thing I want from the deluxe edition. But they do also the minis look really fantastic for it. I mean, here you get the cardboard, and they're fine. They're functional, but the minis look really fantastic for the deluxe edition. So I might be watching out for that and picking that up. But if you don't have access to that, I would still recommend this retail edition. It's much cheaper and more affordable, and the components are still fantastic. And I think this is, if you're a 4X fan, this is a game you gotta own, because this is 4X um, 4X excellence. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks as always for listening, and I'll see you soon.